thanks for joining me. I'm Zach, and I like to make things with Ableton Live. And today I wanted to focus on a delay that I've been using a lot, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So anyway, I've just been noodling a little bit with this set, and so here's some noodles. Okay, so there are no effects buses here, and so the point of this video is to show what adding a delay can do for something like this that's already kind of going. So first, let's just do I'm Command Option T for a new return track. And we're gonna start like simple, and I'll show a few variations of this concept of delay that I've been exploring lately. So number one is let's just add the delay, the basic delay, which I love and I use all the time. And the key to this whole technique, we're gonna use the bandpass filter on the delay. And this is the core concept. And we're gonna perform this bandpass filter as part of our delay. So let's just set this up. We've got a delay device, and we can modulate the filter, and see on Knobbler right here, it's the filter frequency. We've also got the filter width control and a feedback. And these are kind of gonna be our main ones here. Less so the width, frequency for sure. The feedback, we'll just kind of leave it cranked. And that's really the magic of this technique, is you can leave the feedback cranked as long as you're sweeping this bandpass filter around. Okay, so let's play it and let's start to send some channels to it. So let's get set up here. So we want quick access to this delay, so I'll just save it on this device shortcut button so we can come back to these controls. And then let's go to like the Knobbler 2 page, and this is gonna be our delay-centric parameters page. And so here we want the filter frequency. That's really important. I'm gonna put it on this corner slot. We'll put feedback here. And then let's just turn off the sync and just have a delay time. And that's fun to modulate too, and it's fun to get off the grid. Maybe put the offset on a slider here to do some cool stereo effects. And then let's just give ping pong, and dry wet we're just gonna have at 100%. Okay, so this is a good basic start. And now we wanna map some of these sends to sliders here on my channel. So here's my kick drum, here's my 909, and then I've got these 3 Simul Scrub channels kind of seeking around some samples that are going to make noise. What we've got are our controls over the sends, and so as I move these sliders, we're changing the send amount there, and then down here I've got my controls for my delay. And then maybe we can add some more parameters here as we see that we need it. So let's hear what this sounds like. So let's just get some of these going with the delay. So we've got the filter, fairly high frequency, 3 kilohertz. We're sweeping it up. Let's send more to it. You can see the feedback's all the way up. So if I leave this alone, it might kind of go cuckoo. But this feedback is not like super strong on this effect here, but that's all right. Let's get the kick in there. And so we're sending a pretty full spectrum sound to this delay, but we can get a lot of different kind of movement and moods and emphasis builds. Keep that low frequency. Maybe this is our kind of the rumble in our techno song. There's a lot of possibilities. Bring things in, take them out, clean it up. So that's level one of just using this bandpass filter on our simple delay to create something interesting that we can use as part of our performance. But where do we go from here? Like what next can we do? And I think it gets interesting, and this is kind of like concept number 2 of this video, is let's create delay chains. And so we can stack up effects after we delay the sound and get interesting character in our delay. And so let's keep going from where we are. We can change this into that. So number 1, I want to use a more flexible filter. So I'm just going to disable the filter in this delay and add an auto filter after it. So let's hear what that sounds like. We'll send things back to so we're letting almost everything through here now. Let's bring it back. We're on a low pass filter. Let's go band pass. This is kind of where we were. But what we're doing is we're filtering the already feedbacked sound. And wouldn't it be cool to have this filter be part of the feedback loop and not just processing the feedback output? And so how can we do that? Well, what we need to do is enable the send on this return channel so that we can use this as a feedback knob. And so I'm going to take out the delay feedback. And so let's hear what this sounds like if I start to crank up the send here. So right now there's no, here, let's maybe, let's take some of these sounds out. We can hear this as a crisp, really single repeat. Super cool, right? No feedback delay is also great. But let's crank up the feedback here. So we're sort of back where we were before with this feedback almost at 100%. This is pretty quiet. This, you know, if I crank up the resonance, then we can maybe start to get some runaway feedback. But it's pretty safe. You see how it sort of builds. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll reassign some of our controls here. So, for example, the feedback, I can unassign that and maybe I'll assign it to this send. So this is going to be our feedback. And then we'll move over filter frequency. So we'll unmap that from the delay. And we'll map it on the auto filter. Okay, so now we're controlling frequency there. I want a resonance control too. So we're going to move some stuff around. So time offset over here, time and offset and ping pong. Okay, so let's see what we've got to work with here. So I'll press play. Oh, and let's map drive. Let's just use 16ths. Add more parts here. Got a lot more character now with the drive. Yeah, feedback. And then, okay, where do we go from here? Well, this drive started to get interesting, and so, you know, we're using these devices in a real simple way, and this is kind of part of my philosophy with Ableton Live in general. It's like the Unix command line. We want to be able to chain together some simple and flexible tools to get interesting outcomes. And so, you know, let's use the delay just to delay the signal. Let's use the filter just as a filter. We'll turn the drive down, and then let's get a really good drive, you know, really good distortion, of course, roar. And, you know, all this flexibility, maybe we simplify it down to a, you know, single stage. We want to map the drive of this roar and maybe the shaper amount. And let's, you know, pick a fun shaper here. And, you know, we could still go kind of crazy with all these controls. And so maybe let's group these into a rack and assign some macro knobs. And so, you know, let's make something that we can continue using down the line. And so, like, okay, so the delay in 16ths here, and then maybe we can have kind of a, you know, an option for the time and you know, put this selector here so that, you know, we can choose between 16ths and milliseconds for the delay. So we've got flexibility. So these three dials are just the delay, the filter. Let's go frequency on 4, resonance on 5. LFO amount is super fun on 6, and on the roar, let's do drive, tone, amount, And low pass filter frequency, maybe filter type, why not? Resonance, of course. Shaper level, right? We've got an output control it, and compress, why not? And I think we've got one more thing we can map out this bias style. And so this is a cool rack. Let's just call this like a delay filter roar rack. And I'll give my name on it, and I'll save it. We can always, oh, we don't need two of them. We can always update it later on. Okay, now we just need to map up those new parameters on that rack because once you map a parameter to a macro knob, you can no longer control that parameter directly. You have to do it through the dials here. So we're just gonna get this mapped up with kind of how we had it before. So the filter frequency, the resonance, the drive, the output, we'll put there. All right, how's this gonna go? Whoops. Okay, and the last step that I think this can go, so what I like about this is all the control that we have. What I don't like about this is that our feedback control is all the way over here. It'd be really nice if this was in the rack. There's a few ways we can do that. The way that I like to do it is to put a modulator, well, let me just show you. So everybody's got LFO. You can use LFO for this actually. So put LFO in the rack. And what we want to do is we're gonna squash this LFO depth 0. And now offset is just a manual control over where LFO is at that moment. So now we can map offset to one of our macro dials. So let's maybe unmap from compression amount, and we'll put offset on macro 15, and we'll call this one feedback. The next step is to map the LFO to modulate this send amount on remote mode. And so now turning the feedback dial, we're changing the send amount here. So that works. One thing I'm not crazy about this solution is, you know, the plus and minus 100% display in the rack. Like, that bothers me enough where I'd look for a different device that didn't have that. And so, you know, another one you could use here is modulation math. This is a free device that I've put out there. What it does is it has two inputs, and you combine them with a mathematical operation. You can scale, invert, shift, and also control the clipping or wrapping behavior of it. Anyway, we're just going to use it in a really simple way. So I'm going to map that in remote mode to the send. And input A, we're just doing input A plus input B. If input B is 0, the result is just wherever input A is. And so let's put this one on feedback. So now we've got a number between 0 and 1, and that works better with my brain if I'm looking at that on a tablet here. So I'm going to put feedback on this slider here. And so we've got, you know, says feedback. It's a nice number. So this is good UI, good UI. So let's see how that works here. Cool. You know, a fun place you can take this to is it's cool to sometimes get that delay going into an interesting reverb. So I'm going to make a new return track, and in this one I'm going to put a hybrid reverb. When I'm out and about, I like to just, if I find an interesting sound, I'll record it maybe just with my phone, or I've got a couple of microphones that I can plug into my phone to get a better quality recording, and they're nice and little one portable. It's a great solution. And so if I'm out and about and I encounter a cool sound, I might record it. And in this case, there was a big concrete pipe near a reservoir. And I thought, well, that's going to make a neat sound, a neat reverb. And so let me climb down there and hit some stuff against the side of it and record that sound as an impulse response to use with hybrid reverbs. And so let's hear what it sounds like. Let's just solo the kick. Pretty cool, huh? It has a real specific tone because of how, you know, the size of that pipe. Okay, so what if we sent the delay to it? So I'm going to enable send B from the delay. So now I can send some of the delay into that reverb. That's awesome. Okay, on solo it, see what happens. Well, maybe you can see why I'm excited about this technique, because it adds so much to what's going on in the music and really gives you just an incredible performance control and kind of emotion control. I really enjoy this. Anyhow, thanks again, and I'll put links to all this stuff. I'll put this rack for download on my site, plugins.steinkamp.us. And let's go make some music. Let me know what you do, and I'd love to share it here. Okay, take care. Bye.